Voice of the Shockers, Mike
And
Kennedy.
welcome to this week's Gregg Marshall Show. Wichita State back from a road trip over the weekend to Houston and a tough week in all. Coach Marshall joins us. The Shockers now 15-4 on the year, 5-2 in the American Athletic Conference, in a tie for second place with Houston at the moment. Cincinnati still undefeated in the league. The Shockers will close out the first half of the conference schedule this week with 2 games at home against the University of Central Florida and Tulsa. Coach, I guess maybe we start here. I'll just say this. Everybody hates to lose. I hate losing. It sucks. When you lose 2 in a row, it really sucks. But for all the rest of us, we can hate it and be disgruntled about it. You have to fix it. You have to do something to get it turned around. And I was just wondering, did that start on the plane Saturday? Were you already in with practice plans in your head, or do you try to get your mind off of it for a little while?
Yeah, you know, I hope I can fix it. We're going to work hard to try to fix it, but you know, things will just have to change. We'll have to change in our approach and our toughness and our mindset and our ability to execute. And Houston kind of took it to us. They were the tougher team on Saturday, and that's very rare for one of our teams. But it happened on Saturday, so got to get some guys playing better for sure, making shots, executing, not traveling or turning the ball over. But in the end, it's just you got to give Houston credit. They needed the win. They obviously went out and took the win, took it right to us, and the nation's longest road win streak of 11 games, which you don't get from being a soft or intimidated team on the road, is over. So we'll have to try to start a new streak, both at home and on the road, as we go into a new week.
You know, this has been a season, you're 15-4, or 15-2 going into the week, and yet, you know, I've sensed doing this show and other interviews that we do that you've been concerned about some things, and people tend to go, yeah, it's just coach speak, and they're 15-2 and all that. But is this really kind of the culmination of some things that you've been a little concerned about all year?
Well, I mean, I just know what we're dealing with every day in practice, and I watch enough college basketball, and I watch enough kids on the recruiting trail in the fall and the spring and the summer, and you know, we're 15-4, not bad for what we're dealing with and the schedule that we've played. And I just think the media and the expectations going into the season maybe have people's minds a little clouded, if you will, of what this team should be doing or capable of doing or are doing. But we're still, you know, 15th, 16th, 17th, whatever it is in the country. A lot of teams would like to be 15-4. Unfortunately, 2 of our 4 losses came in a span of 4 days last week.
You've been at this a long time. I mean, it's part of college basketball that you're going to have some ups and downs. I guess you had that one year where you didn't too much. You won every game until the last game of the season, but that never happens. And so I know that you have had to deal with this virtually every year you've coached, and can't be fun, but it's something that certainly I'm sure you've learned how to approach and how to plan things and get to work and try to get the things done that need to be done.
Yeah, we worked on that today. First of all, we worked on retrieving loose balls and being not just the first to the floor, but the only one to the floor, because everybody got a shot at it several times today. We're just going and getting the ball when it's loose. And I was very displeased with watching Houston, in particular, Corey Davis, their player, their 2 guard that really shoots it well. I mean, that guy, he was playing basketball on Saturday like his life depended on it, and that's what you've got to do. You know, what we have to do to counter his playing like that, we have to play like that, and especially on the road, you have to play even harder and smarter. And we just simply didn't do it.
You've kind of answered this next question already with that answer, but I just wanted to ask you. You had a game last week here against SMU where certainly there were things I know you would like to have done better, but in a lot of ways your team played well too, and SMU just played an exceptional game, and you can kind of look at that and say, you know, you got to give them a certain amount of credit for the way they played. But when you follow it up with a second loss and certainly one where you didn't perform nearly as well, does that kind of change the tone, or at least maybe the intensity level of how those corrections and teaching moments have to be delivered a little bit.
Yeah, you're probably not quite as worried about injuries in practice, and it becomes more of like a hell week, if you will. So we're in the midst of our little pledge period, and we're getting after it. It's going to be tough for a couple of days. No one likes losing. You mentioned that at the beginning, and we're going to try to fix it.
And certainly it has to be different to some extent when you're building a program, you're building a culture, and you're not sure how the quality of the guys in your program are going to respond to how you approach those things. But this is a good group of guys. They care. They want to do the right things. But sometimes, I guess, just have to be reminded of just how hard you have to go after it to get there.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is and why some of them are playing the way they are. But we've got to try to work through it. We've got to, instill some confidence in some of them, calm some of them down, and get them to slow down on the offensive end. It just depends on the player really, and what's going on, and we're just going to have to figure out ways to get them ready to go better. You can try to be like we were last week. We were nursing a couple of sicknesses and injuries, and we've been doing that for most of the year, and we were kind of soft on that, but we can't be any longer. I told them today, if you're not going to practice, you're not going to play, and don't expect to play. We got to have you out there trying to get better, and we've just got a lot of that going on, and then we've got a lot of guys that simply aren't performing to what we expect or what their abilities are.
You are listening to Shocker head coach Gregg Marshall. Wichita State with 2 games at home this week, trying to get back on the right track. And we will continue our Monday Night Coaches Show from AJ's Sports Grill at the Alley.
People come from all over the world to shop at Jacob Liquor Exchange.
Ooh la la, look at the selection. One for every occasion. Oui, c'est magnifique.
You've got to be kidding. We don't have this much scotch in all of Scotland.
You have more vodka than the Kremlin. When I want beer, this is where I get her done.
Jacob Liquor Exchange has the largest selection of beer, wine, and spirits in Wichita. We're right on the way and right on the price. Jacob Liquor Exchange.
So you want to join the popular RV movement? Why not try it before you buy it at Ramsey's RV Rental in Augusta, Kansas? Ramsey's RV Rental has top-of-the-line towable travel trailers that sleep up to 8 for your next getaway, road trip, hunting trip, or tailgate. Small to large, toy haulers too. Many of Ramsey's RV units come equipped with state-of-the-art flat screens, kitchens, bathrooms, and more. Book online now at Ramsey'sRVRental.com, where you could say Ramsey's RV Rental has changed camping into glamping. Ramsey's RV Rental, 316-775-3637.
Your eyes are often the first to capture important memories. Dress them for the occasion with a new pair of glasses from Howard's Optical. For nearly half a century, Howard's has given you the look you want and deserve. Ask about the Ultimate Lens Package at any of their 4 locations in Wichita: Bradley Fair, Riverside, 13th and Mays Road, and their main store at 5405 East Central. Howard's Optical, a heritage of quality, service, and integrity. Visit howardsoptical.com, proud supporter of Wichita State basketball. Go Shocks!
At Bell Mirror & Glass, we know our work reflects our family name, but we also know that what we do reflects on you.
For over 50 years now, Bell Mirror & Glass has created and installed nothing but the finest custom-made glass, mirrors, shower enclosures, and more for your family or business. Visit the gorgeous Bell Mirror & Glass showroom today.
And let what we do reflect on you.
Bell Mirror & Glass. For over 50 years, a reflection of perfection.
I'm Coach Gregg Marshall. Making sure my family is well taken care of is important to me. So when it comes to their comfort needs, I trust Welch's Heating and Air to keep them comfortable and safe. Welch's, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning customer care dealer, offers award-winning service with a 96% customer satisfaction rating. I want the best taking care of my family, and so should you. Call Welch's Heating and Air today at 733-1600.
Welcome back to our weekly coaches show with Gregg Marshall. Coming up at 7 o'clock, it'll be the women's coaches show with Keitha Adams, the women on a 4-game winning streak. And Steve Strain will be along with Coach Adams. Next week, just want to mention that Coach Adams will not be here. They have a road trip to East Carolina leaving that day, but Coach Marshall will be here next week. And then the following week, we won't be here as the Shockers will be traveling to Memphis. So we will adjust as we go through the season, but for the most part here on Monday nights. Coach, not quite halfway into the schedule yet, certainly haven't seen everybody in the American Athletic Conference, but is one of the things that's starting to become real evident about this league is that everybody, even some of the teams that are not doing as well in the standings, have at least a couple of very good players where on a given night, if they get it going, they can really make it difficult for anybody they play.
Yeah, there's good coaches. We said this in the fall. I mean, there's good coaches, there's good teams, and there's good players. And there's everybody that you run into has someone. We've run, Rob Gray. We controlled him the first time. Second time he got a little loose. Shake Milton put on one of the all-time performances. I mean, that guy, the shots that he was making, and not just the jumpers, but he was making some flip shots inside. He's got tremendously long arms. When he picks up his dribble, he can still get off his shot. So, yeah, there's good players, and we're going to have to continue to figure out ways to try to slow some of these guys down, and if not, shut them down completely. It's very difficult.
We talked about working on getting better and so forth. Is video the prime starting spot? I think you've talked about this before, that video doesn't lie. You can show guys exactly what it is that they're not doing or are doing well, and it's very evident to them when they see it that what you're talking about is right there in front of them.
Well, I mean, for the most part, they know. They know what we expect and what we were trying to get accomplished and when we're out on the court, but the eye in the sky doesn't lie, as we've said before. That video, there's no denying, you're shuffling your feet here. You got to be more careful with your pivot foot. Here's an opportunity where you could have been the first to the floor and gotten a loose ball. Here's an opportunity when you guys didn't defend a screen very well or whatever. So, yeah, it's a great teaching tool, and it's the coach's best friend. But also sometimes you lament having to go back and watch it so many times.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the painful part. I heard a couple of people interviewed today after the championship games in the NFC and AFC, and they were saying, when you lose like a championship game like that, you don't even watch the video. It's just sometimes it's just. But in the middle of a season, obviously, you have to and use it as a learning tool.
Yeah, there's a lot of games, those last games, I haven't gone back and watched. And really, I may one day have an opportunity to and want to go back and watch, but probably not. The end result is not going to be positive. So I'm the same way.
Always looking for things that you can improve, but right now, is it more a matter of just executing the things you've been doing and getting better at that? There's nothing, I'm guessing, that you've seen as far as major adjustments or changes that are just staring at you that you have to try to do?
Right now I'm working on some psychology, if you will. There's some things that I've got to become better at as far as getting guys to play better, believe in their abilities, or slow down. I mentioned that. Some guys need to slow down. Some guys need to speed up. But there's some guys that just aren't doing what they're capable of doing, and we've got too many guys like that. I mean, we could ask the question, how many guys played well against Houston? And I don't think you would like the answer if you really went down the roster.
And is that something we talked about? Every team tends to have a little point in the season, whether it's one game or a week or whatever it may be, even in a really good season, where maybe things go backward a little bit or there's a slump, if you will. And is it kind of different year to year with each team as far as what maybe it takes from your standpoint of what's needed most to get them back on the right track?
Well, we've talked about many times on this show the 30 games in a season, 20 games in the middle are basically who you are, and you've got 5 games that you probably play a little better than, or 6 or 7, maybe 3 or 4, that you play a little better than what you actually are. And then you've got the 5 games where that didn't even look like our team. Who are these guys? But the 20 games in the middle is kind of who you are, and I hope that this Houston game for sure is one of the 5 worst in the end of the season. But we're not alone in going through this little slide. I mean, there's a lot of good teams that are still in the top 25. From Texas Tech lost twice last week. They were 8th in the country. Arizona early in the year lost 2 or 3 in a row. If I'm not mistaken.
Oklahoma just lost twice last week.
Oklahoma. Purdue lost twice. They're second or third in the country. They lost twice down in the Bahamas. So there's a lot of good teams. Xavier, same thing. There's a lot of good teams that have lost consecutive games, and the season's not over. I mean, that's one thing I had to make sure I was very clear on. The season is not over. We still have a lot of games to play, but we've got to now be more ready. We've got to kick it into gear. We've got a couple of home games now. Hopefully we can get our senses and games on the right track, and then head on the road. February is going to be a bear.
You're listening to Gregg Marshall, our weekly coaches show from AJ Sports Grill at the Alley. We'll continue with the coach right after this.
I want to make cars fly. I love turning old stuff into something amazing. I want to plant a garden for the whole world.
We grow up, but we never stop dreaming. Here at Coke, we challenge ourselves and the status quo to produce innovations like renewable fuel, more energy-efficient vehicles, and food for all. Because what drives us most is challenge itself.
There's a powerful connection between the dollar and Taco Bell. Because it unlocks a world of 20 decadent menu items from breakfast to late night for just $1 each. 20 items for $1. 20 steps on the pyramid. Who's really behind this? Is it the Illuminati or the Bell Illuminati? Experience the power of the dollar at Taco Bell.
Visit one of Green Vision Group's 21 locations today to maximize your healthcare dollars. Our optometrists and ophthalmologists offer full-service, personalized care for the entire family. Use your flexible spending and vision insurance benefits for eye exams, contact lenses, fashion eyewear, prescription sunglasses, LASIK, or other eye surgeries. Our vision is to help you focus on the moments that matter most. Green Vision Group. Never miss a moment.
Sage Coach! It's the Patterson Legal Group. Someone's gonna pay.
Our client's been in a car wreck. Where's the insurance guy?
It's time to pay our client for damages.
They deserve more. There's lots of pain and suffering.
You really don't want to see us in court, so pay it all now.
Hurt in a car wreck?
Call the good guys. We're Tyler
and Gary, the Patterson Legal Group.
Call 550-0000.
Hi.
I'm not letting you in. No more apps.
But I can let you gain Kansas lottery points. Enter second chance drawings, win more. Points can go to any prize you want.
Any prize?
Yeah. Play on, man.
Okay, you can come in. But don't ask me to update you right away.
I mean, we hardly know each other.
Oh, right.
With the Play On app, you can gain more points and win more. See KSLottery.com for details.
Show. Before we bring the coach back in, I did want to mention, to be sure that you're aware, that the ESPN Infinity Coaches Charity Challenge has moved to the next level. From an original group of 48 coaches, it's been trimmed to 24, and Coach Marshall is currently 7th in the voting. Coach Marshall has again designated the Wichita Children's Home as his charity of choice. So get online, vote every day. You can vote once a day on each device. You can vote on your phone, your laptop, your iPad, whatever it may be, but get on there and vote every day. The money that he raises goes to a great cause, the Wichita Children's Home. Plus, it's just a matter of pride for Shocker fans to get him up there in the voting. This second round goes for 18 more days before there is another cut. So get online, vote for Coach Marshall, and help the Wichita Children's Home. Wichita State 17th today in the AP poll, 16th in the coaches poll. Shocker opponents, Oklahoma number 12 and 11, Cincinnati number 8 and 9, and Houston is receiving votes in the AP poll. You mentioned, sadly, it's hard to find anyone that played very well in the game Saturday at Houston, but maybe the closest, Rashard Kelly, who seemed to play with some of the energy and drive and so forth that we've seen from him, and more typifies your program than what we saw from some others maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he got a few rebounds. He had a nice steal. Offensively, he's struggles a little bit. Missed 2 front ends and missed a layup. Missed a couple jumpers. I mean, just his man kind of clogs up the lane while he's out on the perimeter and doesn't really honor his ability to shoot the ball, which is becoming a problem.
One positive that maybe hasn't been talked about enough, Austin Reeves started out the season with 17 assists and 17 turnovers in the first 12 games. In 7 games since then, 22 assists to 3 turnovers. He had 3 and none on Saturday, so he has really corrected that part of his game.
Let's hope it's corrected for the long haul. I know that he got tired of me yelling at him for turning the ball over. A guy with his ability shouldn't be 17 to 17 early in the season, and he was just taking too many chances and being casual. He's a very good passer, very skilled, but he's obviously got to be a little more diligent in taking care of the ball.
And is that maybe a thing when you talk about turnovers as much as anything? It's still decision making and that sort of thing.
Well, there's a multitude of things that can make the turn the ball over. Just being casual, being sloppy with your feet on a travel, being casual with your passes or your footwork, being a risk taker. You know. Not crazy about guys that want to take a lot of risk. We can do without the risk. We need to shoot. The way we shoot the ball, we need to make sure we get a lot of shots, and that's why we pursue rebounds on the offensive end and try to get extra possessions. You're not going to make, even the best teams don't make 50% of their shots, rarely. So you gotta make sure that you're taking care of the ball and getting good looks as many times as possible.
One other positive I did want to mention from Saturday, Houston was celebrating the 50th anniversary of the game of the century, as it was called, in 1968, Houston and UCLA at the Astrodome. And Elvin Hayes now does color commentary on Houston radio. So he was there. I got a chance to meet him, got a chance to talk to him a little bit. And the first thing he mentioned, he's looking up in the stands and seeing how many Shocker fans were there a good hour before the game. And once again, a really good turnout, both from people that traveled from here, other places in Texas, and a fairly good number, apparently, of Shocker alumni in the Houston area.
Yeah, it's amazing in this particular league now how we're seeing big pockets of Shocker fans at these games, and that wasn't always the case in the Valley. For whatever reason, you would think there was a lot of Shocker fans in certain places in the Midwest, which is a Valley footprint, but here, I mean, I know Tulsa is definitely close and all that, and that makes sense. A lot of people made the drive down, but tons of people from Houston. I mean, I ran into Joe Ragland's mother. We spoke. Former players, a guy that I recruited when I was 25 years old. He's doing very well. I was at Belmont Abbey. Chester Black is down there. He says he has 700 people working for him, and he has a staffing business. And I told him, I said, you remember how many times I came up to see you play in Blacksburg, Virginia from Belmont, North Carolina, and drove back that night? He goes, yeah, Coach, you were almost at every other game. I said, yeah, you know what I made that year? I told him $9,000, and I drove my personal car 30,000 miles in 9 months working at Belmont Abbey. But I thought it was a good deal because they paid for my gas and tires. I didn't realize that the depreciation on the car, every mile you put on, that was my first car, and man. But Chester was a great player, and man, just to see him, I didn't recognize him. He walked up to me after the game, hey, Coach, and I thought, okay, I'm going to walk by. I don't want to talk to anyone, and he couldn't believe I didn't recognize him, but I didn't. It's been so long. I mean, it was 1988, so 29 years ago, but he's done very well, and obviously getting it done down in Houston.
Also, I think it's very gratifying, some of the people we saw there. Now, P.J. Kuznar did play 1 year for you, but just one out of his 4 college years, and he's been at Baylor. He was at that game, and very, very much invested in this program.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you're doing well.
Absolutely. PJ's unbelievable. I love PJ, and he's doing a great job. And I don't know. I consider him my player, so I hope that he considers me his coach. But that guy is did his thing overseas and made some money, and he's now back and dealing with kids and trying to help them, out of tough situations down in the 5th Ward. I think it's called the 5th Ward down in Houston, where he's from. And there's a lot of talented players that just need guidance to make right decisions, to go to school, get their high school diploma first, play some quality basketball, and have an opportunity to get a scholarship and get away.
And something else, if you're not aware, that Coach Marshall has done is really try to make players from previous eras who he did not coach or have anything to do with here at Wichita State feel welcome, feel part of this program. Certainly one of those is Antoine Carr, who started the Play Angry mantra back in 2013, and he was there with Mike Denny, a teammate who lives in San Antonio, and Antoine came over to us at halftime and said they got to start playing angry, and he was angry. At that point, I wish you could have thrown a uniform on him.
No, I wish I could have sent him into the locker room. That's what I needed to do. I wish he'd have shown up so I could have, literally had him say to the team the same thing he said to the team in 2013. I mean, we got a ways to go in that regard, and that's the most disappointing thing to me is playing hard, and playing harder than the other team is almost taken for granted around here, and you can't take it for granted.
And is that maybe a danger that comes from, not with the coaching staff, but maybe when players have had a lot of success and they kind of start assuming that, hey, Coach, I got this, I know what you're saying, and we got this type of thing, and maybe kind of forget about just how much commitment they have to make in some of those areas?
Perhaps, until they get embarrassed on national television, and then it's, maybe you don't have it.
At this time of year, you're right in the middle of the season. Obviously, you're working on a lot of things, but how much are you and your staff also, or do you have to be involved in still getting out there, taking a look at some of the guys that have signed with you, and kind of keeping your eyes open for who else might be out there?
That's been something that we've done. Coach Lindstedt was down seeing Jamie Ichinike at Trinity Valley prior to the Houston game. Last couple of weeks I've been to Tacoma, Washington, and I've been to Memphis to see Eric Stevenson and Alex Lomax respectively, and I need to probably stick around a little more. I'm not missing practice, but sometimes practice may be cut a little short so I can hop in a plane and get to a game. But I need to coach my team, and that's what I'm going to concentrate on going forward.
As far as your staff, obviously you have 6 seniors. You signed 6 guys in the fall, but there is always the possibility, maybe a very real possibility, that Landry Shamet might not be back, and so you keep looking, I guess, for who might be out there in case you need to sign somebody else. If you had an absolute perfect situation where you could choose, would you be in favor, if that had to happen, of maybe like a 5th-year grad transfer or someone with a little more experience?
In a perfect situation, obviously you want a great player and a great person and a great student. We'll have to just evaluate that when it comes, and he's not the only one that might not be back. There's other kids that might not be back that aren't playing as much, or maybe their girlfriend's in another city. That always happens. So you've got to have your ear to the ground in recruiting and all the time. I mean, you can't miss a day of recruiting. So that's pretty evident that we need some more players next year, and we can't. Right now we've signed the 6, and we're gonna stand pat with those guys until things change. But you've got to be prepared. Preparation is the mother of victory, and you've got to be prepared when those opportunities to add to your roster arise.
And let me just ask you this, not suggesting anything at all, but I've never asked you this question. That's still a relatively new thing in college basketball, that grad transfer thing, although it's been around for a few years now. And how does that have to work? I assume they have to declare, get it out there somehow that they're interested in doing that. I know that you can't approach anyone until they've made it known.
Well, I hope that we're not approaching anyone, but I would say there probably are people. There's literally, I don't know this for fact, but I've heard about it. There's like a website now that you can go to see all the kids that redshirted that may be graduating with a year of eligibility. Isn't that sick?
Wow.
But there's that's out there. So we're gonna just wait and see. I mean, they make it known. They put it out on a tweet, and it's not real hard now these days with social media to let people know. But those things happen, and you got to be ready when it does.
All right, Shocker head coach Gregg Marshall on our weekly show from AJ Sports Grill at the Alley. We will continue. We'll start looking ahead to UCF and Tulsa coming to Wichita this week.
Today's world, connections are everything, which makes your Wi-Fi even more important. With Cox high-speed internet, you can get the latest equipment and access to super fast in-home Wi-Fi. You also get the security you need to protect your privacy. And when you travel, we're right there with you, giving you access to more than 500,000 Wi-Fi hotspots across the country. At home or away, Cox has you covered. Learn more with the Cox Discover More video series at cox.com/learn.
What happens when you register your Cox account and get a user ID and password? You open up a world of possibilities for all your Cox services, like access to live TV and on-demand shows with the Contour app, and TV network apps to watch on the go. Cox Security Suite Plus, powered by McAfee, and phone tools to keep you connected when you leave home. Discover what you can do. Check out the Cox Discover More video series at cox.com/learn.
With Cox high-speed internet, you get access to super fast in-home Wi-Fi to power all your devices and do the things you love online. And now, when you're traveling, you have free access to the nation's largest Wi-Fi network with over 500,000 hotspots, so you can stay connected in places such as New York City, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Phoenix, and many more. Learn how with the Cox Discover More video series at cox.com/learn. In today's world, connections are everything, which makes your Wi-Fi even more important. With Cox high-speed internet, you can get the latest equipment and access to super fast in-home Wi-Fi. You also get the security you need to protect your privacy. And when you travel, we're right there with you, giving you access to more than 500,000 Wi-Fi hotspots across the country. At home or away, Cox has you covered. Learn more with the Cox Discover More video series at cox.com/learn.
What happens when you register your Cox account and get a user ID and password? You open up a world of possibilities for all your Cox services, like access to live TV and on-demand shows with the Contour app, and TV network apps to watch on the go. Cox Security Suite Plus, powered by McAfee, and phone tools to keep you connected when you leave home. Discover what you can do. Check out the Cox Discover More video series at cox.com/learn.
Welcome back to the Gregg Marshall Show from AJ Sports Grill at the Alley. We are here just about every Monday night from 6 to 7. Coming up from 7 to 8 tonight, the Wichita State Women's Basketball Show with head coach Keitha Adams and your host Steve Strain. So stay tuned for that. And, of course, we're on Your View, Kansas, and this will seem strange when you're watching it to mention it now, but 9 to 10 is the airtime for that now on Monday nights after we do the radio show. Coach, you come off a Saturday game. You've got a game on Thursday night, so with your day off Sunday, 3 days of practice in between, how much of that time do you devote, and does it change like this week where you're really working on some things to just working on your stuff, and how much of that time goes toward getting prepared for a team you haven't seen yet this year?
Yeah, today, Mike, we got together at 2 o'clock after everyone got out of class and whatnot, and then Shaq was sick today. He had a migraine. He texted Todd, our trainer, at 3 a.m. and said he had a migraine. So I don't know what he thought Todd could do at 3 a.m. other than wake up his family, but he did. And then Connor is sick. So Connor had been to the doctor and actually had a prescription, and I saw him. He did look very sick. Then at 4 o'clock, after we watched video from 2 to 3, it was a long video session just for the first half of the Houston game. I'll show them the second half tomorrow. But then we had to get into UCF, but the coaches said, we don't have time to get into UCF. I said, why? We have 3 guys, Rano, Richard, and I don't know why Brett Barney's in this class, but Brett Barney's in this class as well. He's not a senior. The other 2 are seniors, and they have to have this class to graduate. And it starts at 4:15, 4 o'clock on Mondays. So I was very limited today, which is unfortunate. We did all we could between 3 and I think they were a little late to class, actually. They were a little late to class today, but the teacher understands and is going to work with us in this situation. But they left about 4:15, so now I've got Connor, Shaq, Richard, and Rano out of practice at 4:15. So tomorrow hopefully will be a better day of improving what we need to improve and having our full team around.
Wichita State has an interesting week from the standpoint that they will play their first game ever against Central Florida and their 128th game all-time against Tulsa. That comes up on Sunday. Just want to mention that is a 5 o'clock tip-off. I think some of the websites still show it as an 8 o'clock game, but it's a 5 o'clock tip on Sunday, 8 o'clock Thursday night against UCF. UCF in its second year under Johnny Dawkins, and way back, seems like forever ago, your second year here, you played in the CBI, and he was coaching at Stanford, and they played here. Do you have any other history with him at all?
No. What website are we talking about?
I think GoShockers.com.
We need to fix GoShockers.com. Hello, GoShockers.com. We need to get that straight. I coached against UCF many times when I was back at Winthrop and even College of Charleston and whatnot. We were in the same league back when I was at the College of Charleston, so I'm familiar with their program. They've got a new facility, which I've never been in. That's a growing university. It's one of the larger universities from a student attendance numbers maybe in the country.
It is the largest undergraduate
population. Yeah, I thought so. It's huge. And they've got a beautiful new arena. Obviously, they just lost Taco Fall. Johnny Dawkins, one of the nicest men in our business, a true professional, great player. I loved watching him play at Duke, and then he played many years in the NBA. Unfortunately, he was with the Philadelphia 76ers. They weren't very good, but he's a tremendous player and a wonderful coach, gentleman. They've had the injury bug all year. His son is out for the year. Taco Fall is out for the year. They just got B.J. Taylor, a first-team all-conference player, back. So they play a 2-2-1 zone press back to a 2-3 zone, and they just try to mix up their coverages in the 2-3 zone. They play very low tempo, kind of like SMU, in no hurry, which reminded me of UNI, and that's the way they play. We're going to have to try to speed up the game. I mean, otherwise it could be like a 40-35 game. They actually had a game like that against Cincinnati. I think the winning team didn't even have 40 points. 40, maybe 48-39 was the final. Something like that. Yeah. Crazy, low-scoring game, but that's the way they prefer it.
And I'll just mention, for those of you who are not aware, Taco Fall is the 7'6", 295-pound center who just messed up his shoulder and is going to have surgery, is out for the year. So that just happened in the last few days, and certainly if you're coaching against them, it's certainly something less that you have to prepare for in terms of a shot blocker and all that, but it would have been kind of cool just to see that immense individual on the court live one time.
It would have been cool for you, Mike.
Let me ask you this, because you just mentioned something that's really kind of unique about them. B.J. Taylor is their returning leading scorer. He missed 16 games, and then just as he's coming back, Taco Fall goes out. So there's really been like one game, their Saturday game with USF, that that's been this particular team that you're going to see on Thursday.
Yeah, and the kid Taco Fall, I mean, what a nice young man. I met him at the media day back in the fall. Donnie Jones, our assistant coach, recruited him. I forget from what country he's from, but the kid is just a massive human being. It's such a nice kid. And he came over and wanted to talk about Coach Jones and how much he liked Coach Jones and all that. And then he reaches down to me, and I felt like a little boy, and he says, "I cannot wait to play you." And I went, "Oh my God." oh God, I never did anything to you. Remember that, son. So, I mean, it's amazing how big he is. He had to literally bend at the knees and the waist to walk in the door.
Well, I know that you are, at this point, just kind of getting into your video study of UCF and so forth. When you've got a guy the caliber of B.J. Taylor, who's only played in 3 games all year, do you actually maybe even look for some footage from last year to get more of a feel of what he's all about?
I'm just, I saw enough. I got home early enough. I saw them play either yesterday or Saturday night against
South Florida.
I saw the South Florida game, yeah. So I've got an idea. He can really make shots off ball screens, which is a common thread that we're running into now. And they played that 2-3 zone. So I'll let my assistant coaches dig back through his video from last year.
B.J. Taylor is a 6'2" redshirt junior. He actually missed what would have been his original sophomore season with an injury, but averaged 17.4 points per game, 3.5 assists last year. He was hurt in the opener this year, missed the next 16 games, came back 2 games ago against Cincinnati, and then had 20-plus against South Florida on Sunday night, including 10 of 11 free throws and 3 of 6 from 3. And is he kind of a driver and that type of guy, or is he kind of the whole package?
Yeah, he's a good player. He can shoot it. He can drive it. I mean, he can score at the foul line. He's a first-team All-Conference American guy, and that you've seen this league. They've got some really good players. To be first team, you've got to be doing something right.
When you have a 7'6" shot blocker, I mean, that's such a unique situation. From what you've seen of them, did they somewhat play to that, or are you willing to take a few chances on defense? You've got that eraser back there, and does it drastically change the way they play now?
Yeah, they're just playing that zone. I mean, they're going to play more zone now, and they're so decimated from a numbers standpoint. Same thing with SMU. They just sat in the zone, and we had to execute against the zone, and then they took the air out of the ball on the other end and gave it to Shake or Jamal Murray at the end and tried to make a play.
This team, UCF, is 3rd in the nation in scoring defense. They give up 59 a game. They're 5th in field goal percentage defense, allowing their opponents less than 38%. But they're also 342nd in scoring themselves, plus 300 in three-point percentage and free throw percentage. And I was going to ask you if it was the low scores or just totally that of just they can't score and stop people, but it sounds like they actually prefer to play a slower tempo, low possession type of game.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to sit here and tell you that they can't score.
Well, of course.
I'm going to tell you that they play a low tempo, and they're okay with that.
They have another guy, A.J. Davis, 6'9", skinny, fifth-year senior, is averaging about 10.5 points. He's 2nd in the conference in rebounding and appears to be a pretty active guy for as skinny as he is.
Yeah, well, he's not that skinny. Do you remember his dad, Antonio Davis?
Oh, yeah.
From the Indiana Pacers. Do you remember how rocked up he was?
Yeah.
And his son's just younger version of that. I mean, he's not that skinny. He's a very talented player. He started at Tennessee before he transferred. So he's a 5th-year senior, and he's a good player.
A couple of other guys to mention. Dayon Griffin, a 6'4" junior transfer from Louisiana Tech. Terrell Allen's a 6'3" sophomore transfer from Drexel. So they lost 3 starters from last year, but have picked up a couple of D1 guys that have moved into the lineup. And, of course, as Coach mentioned, they were planning to have Coach Dawkins' son, a transfer from Michigan, a 6'6" wing, who hurt his shoulder before the season even started.
Yeah, he was a transfer from Michigan and a good player. They thought he was going to be a step-in, a starter, but he hurt himself. I think it was his shoulder early in the year, so he's out. They've had the injury bug, and that happens.
We mentioned Davis. There's one other big guy that's going to start getting more time with Taco Fall out. Chad Brown, 6'9", 240, a junior who apparently, I mean, from his numbers, a pretty good rebounder and does give them a guy that's a little bit of a shot blocker. He's averaging over 1 block a game in about 12 minutes per game.
Well, let's put it this way. He's bigger and maybe a better athlete, if not than any big guy that we have. He's a big, strong, athletic guy, very imposing when you look at him.
Central Florida here on Thursday night, and they come in at 13-6 overall, 4-3 in the American Athletic Conference, right behind the Shockers in the standings. Should be another good challenge. Tips off at 8 o'clock. We'll come back to AJ's to close things out with Coach Marshall on this week's Coaches Show.
Pizza Hut pizzas just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas, just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the Hut.
Sometimes the game of life can be challenging. A struggle that feels like there's no way out, or no one that can help. Whether it's you or someone you know, you don't have to be alone. Prairie View can help. Let our team of experienced mental health and addiction professionals help you build the strength and skills you need to live well and focus on what's important. With treatment comes transformation. Let Prairie View help you get back in the game of life.
At Red Wing Shoes, we guarantee a great experience. We offer 4 lines of quality items, making your shopping experience fast and easy. And if we don't have your size or style, special order with no down payment and no obligation to buy. Shop our wide selection of accessories, including hats, belts, and insoles. Experience the Red Wing difference today. Red Wings stand the test of time. And right now, ask about our payment plan for ACH. Red Wing Shoes, located at 6600 West Kellogg.
What do you think?
A healthy smile is a powerful thing.
Do it.
It deserves Delta Dental, the nation's leading dental benefits provider.
I love it.
It's all yours.
Really?
Yeah, the old car.
Learn more about our individual and family plans at deltadentalks.com.
Have you checked the pancake?
Pancakes.
And what about the pancake?
Pancakes and pancakes.
And the pancakes?
Yeah, we're pancakes, sir.
Well, that sounds flippin' pancakes to me.
Yes, it does.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are cleared for pancakes. They're $3.99, all you can eat for a limited time.
Perfect. $3.99, all you can eat pancakes, pancakes, pancakes at IHOP.
Windows and siding, doors and more. Windows and siding, doors and more. Windows and siding, doors and more. Call 265-5444.
Call Mid-America Exteriors, home of Everlast Siding.
Welcome back to the Gregg Marshall Show. If you missed it earlier, Wichita State ranked 17th this week by the Associated Press, 16th in the coaches poll, 21 and 23 in the Ken Pomeroy and Jeff Sagarin power rating, still 11 in the ESPN BPI. The Shockers with just their 15th road loss in the last 87 road games, 72 and 15 on the road the last 7+ seasons, looking to get back on the winning track. 2 at home this week, which will get you, it seems like the season's been going on longer, but just to the halfway point in the conference schedule. And in the second half, you will have 4 at home, 5 on the road. So while it doesn't guarantee anything playing at home, just particularly important to pick up the wins at home.
Now, see, Mike, that's not the way I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it that the season's well over halfway. We've played 19 games, right?
Out of 30.
Out of 30. So we're almost 2/3 of the way through. And after this game on Thursday, we'll be 2/3 of the way through. I want to be more positive about this deal.
But still plenty of opportunities in the conference. You have yet to see Cincinnati, the league leader. You get SMU another time.
Really a carrot to look forward to at the end of the season. You keep making me excited.
And, I'll just throw this out there. Everybody left on the schedule is roughly a top 150 team. This league offers some challenges, as you've talked about, down the stretch. 2 a week for the rest of the way, pretty much.
Yeah, there'll be no easy ones the rest of the way.
Just a quick mention of Tulsa. I know you're focused on UCF on Thursday, but given the fact that you've got a little more time in between the weekend and the UCF game than you do between UCF and Tulsa, kind of a plus that Tulsa is a team that you've seen once very recently.
Yeah, the Tulsa team that played out of their mind the last weekend. I think it was just 11 days ago, 10 days ago, 9 days ago. That group just beat Memphis at home. And I think they lost their midweek game last week, but I saw Sterling Taplin barely scored. You know, he had 26 against us, and he barely scored in the most recent game. But we've got to obviously. The scouting report won't change a whole lot. We'll tweak some things that we didn't do very well, but that's not going to be a hard scout at all.
As you mentioned, all right, so we look at it that way, about a third of the season to go after this week, and obviously this is a big time to turn this team into what it can be as you go down the stretch here and hopefully on into postseason play.
Yeah, we've got some work to do, and we understand that. The guys are very cognizant of that. We've got a lot of talent. We've got to make sure that we try to maximize that talent, and you can't mess around. I mean, you don't want to. You want to try to end the season better than maybe you were expected to at the beginning, and that's our charge.
I had a coach say to me one time, I know what I say, I don't always know what they hear. But you feel like this week anyway that you've made it pretty clear what it is you want them to hear from you.
I'm not sure they could misconstrue what we're saying at this point.
All right, Coach, thank you. Shocker head coach Gregg Marshall, he'll be back next Monday from 6 to 7 right here at AJ's. Again, just a quick run-through of the schedule. The Shockers and UCF, the University of Central Florida. First time ever for these two programs. Thursday night at Koch Arena. That means our broadcast will begin at 7. And then on Sunday, it will be Tulsa here for the rematch. That's a 5 o'clock tip-off with pregame at 4 o'clock. Next week, we'll be back here for the coaches show. And then the Shockers have only one game that following week. It's on the road at Temple on Thursday, which will be another first-time experience for Shocker basketball to play Temple in Philadelphia. We'll see if the SUV is still on the rocky steps from the celebration after the Eagles win last night. But looking forward to that trip and kind of a special cultural experience for everybody. But in between, 2 games at home this week. Know you'll get out. Wichita State's women's basketball team coming off 4 wins in a row and heading to Memphis for their only game this week. And Steve Strain will be coming up with Keitha Adams at the top of the hour. So thanks again for joining us. Always great to see all of you out here. Thanks for your support. And we'll be back with Coach Marshall next Monday here at AJ Sports Grill at the Hour.